Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about money. Do you feel like food is getting more expensive every time you go to the grocery store? Have you wondered how much you could save by just growing your own food at home? Well, I sat down and I crunched the numbers, and in this video I'm going to show you how much I saved, how much I spent, and what I grew. So let's get started. I'm Christina with Forever Food Forest, a channel where I explore ways of growing food without the use of herbicides, pesticides, or commercial fertilizers. And instead, I rely on permaculture gardening principles and natural farming techniques to grow food that's good for the garden and good for the planet. They say that money doesn't grow on trees, but if you looked at the price of food lately, a tomato plant is starting to look like a pretty good investment. I mean, it's much better than investing in any of the stocks, unless of course we're talking about bean stocks or celery stocks. We can even diversify and create a whole livestock portfolio. I mean, you shouldn't have to earn six figures and be in the top 1% just so you could enjoy a bell pepper once in a while. So that's why at the beginning of this season, I made it a point to grow things that I actually eat. I took notes of what I harvested, and then I compared what I harvested with grocery store prices. And now I will bring you those numbers. So the first thing I grew were staple crops. Things that we use every single day in every which way. They are also vegetables that I can preserve and use later when they are out of season and no longer growing. And one of those were tomatoes. Tomatoes are awesome. You can eat them fresh, put them on sandwiches, salads. You can cook them down in a stew. You can make sauces, ketchups, dipping sauces. I guess ketchup is a dipping sauce. Anyway, I harvested about 6.8 pounds of tomatoes every week for a month. And with current grocery prices, that works out to be about $114 a month saved just from growing my own tomatoes. That's not a bad start, but let's keep moving. The second crop I harvested was potatoes. Big potato. So I harvested 6 pounds of potatoes over the last month, and these are organic potatoes, and they catch a pretty hefty price tag at the store. So I saved about $12. Now we are getting into the luxury tier of produce. Bell peppers, which at our local store fetch $3.99 for just one. And I grew 10 of them, which means I saved like $40. The next thing on the list is that green herbs. Rosemary, parsley, chives, cilantro, tarragon, basil, and dill, which at the store catch about $2.29 per tiny little packet for organic. That means I saved a total of $15 by growing my own. Can't even buy these at the store, come on now. And I also harvested about $10 worth of blueberries. I may not be earning a salary, but I did save $18 by growing my own celery. And then there were the 2 pounds of jalapenos that I harvested, which is a lot of jalapenos to eat in one sitting, but I did save $6. And I also found a turmeric root, which brought my total of money saved in 1 month by growing my own food to $192.73. So you're probably wondering, how much did she spend on setting up her garden? Well, to be honest with you, it wasn't that much. I paid $176 for 6 garden beds. They're metal and they are going to last a really long time. I tried making my own garden bed at one point using wood pellets, but it rotted in about 18 months. So I went for the metal because they last. To keep costs to a minimum, I used native soil amended with homemade compost to fill my garden beds. My second biggest expense went to an irrigation system. You see, here in Florida, we go through dry periods in winter and rainy periods in summer. And when it rains, it pours. So it makes sense to save that rainwater. And I used rain barrels that I got that were recycled from olive oil production. They cost me $160 and I use them all the time. Of course, I had to buy seeds, plants, and perennials, and that cost me around $150. So after we add everything up, it's about $550 that I spent setting up this garden. And that sounds like a lot when you look at it all at once, but we're going to amortize that over a 60-month period, assuming the life of the garden beds and the rain barrels to be 5 years. And that works out to be about $9.10 a month. So once we subtract that from our money saved, that works out to be $180. Now, another thing to take into consideration is the time that it took to make the compost and to make the garden, and how long it took to grow a tomato from seed. $180. $180 saved. What can you buy with $180 these days? With the rate of inflation, you can't buy much, especially in the US. I mean, you can't even pay for a month of health insurance. But in the process of making this video, I realized that growing my own food was never about money. There's a sense of satisfaction of growing a pepper from seed. And of course, there's the benefit of taste, like the taste of a freshly picked at its peak blueberry. Money can't buy that. Or a homegrown tomato picked right off the vine, or a freshly picked corn. These are things that you can't really buy at the store unless, of course, you know a guy or who knows a guy. And look, I'm not going to sit here and say that eating commercially processed, commercially grown food causes health problems, because I'm just a gal on YouTube and I'm not a doctor. But I would put money on the fact that eating homegrown, all organic food is going to be a lot better for you than any of the crap that you buy at the store. And we can probably also agree that growing your own food without these pesticides and petrochemicals is probably going to be better for the planet. And look, I realize that my little 6 garden bed setup is not going to change the world, but if everybody else does it, it might just cause a shift in consciousness. So thanks for watching. If you want to learn more about growing your own food without the use of commercial chemicals or pesticides, make sure to check out some of my other videos. And until next time, grow that green and invest in stocks. Oh, that is a salty celery. What would you do with an extra $120 a month? He knows what he would do. He would buy hair ties. You get pockets and hair ties, you silly bean.